I was planning to wear green for this video as like to symbolize green with envy. But then I realized I have nothing green. Like, can you imagine? I literally do not have anything green. That's crazy. So lately I've been doing a lot of videos on envy, and I promised that I will make different videos on the same topic. And today I want to be talking about how to deal with envy. I feel like it's a very sensitive topic, and as a result of that, society has tried to villainize it, ignore it, or just even act like it doesn't exist. And from what we've seen in society, we can tell that that doesn't work. Like, we've not done a good job. Ignoring this thing has not helped us at all. So today I want to talk about how to actually deal with this emotion. Well, for starters, the first thing I'm going to say is for you to deal with something, you have to actually understand what it is. Like I said in my last video concerning this topic, envy at its core is just an emotion, but it doesn't end there. So according to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, envy is a painful or resentful awareness of an advantage, possession, or achievement enjoyed by another person, accompanied with the desire to have that thing for oneself. In layman terms, it just means I see someone, they have XYZ, it hurts me that they have it and I don't have it, and I really want it for myself. And it also goes further to say that this can also stem from comparing oneself to others. I want you to keep that in the back of your mind because we're coming back to that, okay? Which leads me to the first point, which is understand the root cause or trigger of your envy. To do this, you're really going to have to sit with yourself and ask, what about this person is making me envious? What in me is causing me to have this feeling towards this person? Does it stem from lack? Being in a place of lack can make you have very resentful feelings towards somebody that has excess. Sometimes being in a less advantaged position can trigger feelings of resentment in us towards people that we deemed to have more than us. For example, imagine if like I was homeless, helpless, didn't know where my next meal was going to come from, and I just saw this random person that is my age online celebrating how they just bought a new Lamborghini. That can lead me to be very resentful towards that person because I'm over here like, oh, well, you can afford a Lamborghini at my age. That's really nice. I don't know where my next meal is going to come from. But we also have to understand that the presence of other people's advantages is not the lack of ours. When we can identify the root cause of our envy, it's going to be way easier for us to not only identify but also redirect those emotions when they come. The second point is going to be self-awareness, and honestly this should have been the first one, particularly understanding that you are envious. So the reason what even led me to speak about this a lot is that I find that there is a lack of self-awareness when it comes to envy, or should I say self-awareness, or just a lack of accountability. That is one emotion that nobody ever wants to admit that they have. And trust me, I have dealt with enough people, I have seen enough, I have heard enough stories to notice that there is a pattern here. Like, people are very comfortable admitting when they are angry, when they are bitter, when they are mad, but when it comes to envy, nobody wants to accept that they are envious. It takes a very self-aware and accountable person to be able to say, you know what, this is what I feel. And I say that self-awareness is very necessary. How are you going to ever deal with an emotion if you don't even know you possess it in the first place? The first step to healing yourself is knowing I have a wound. So the first step to getting rid of envy is understanding that you actually feel this way in this moment. Now, moving on to my third tip, learn to not compare yourself to others. Remember when I was talking about the definition of envy and I said you should keep one phrase in your pocket? It's the fact that envy stems from comparing yourselves to others. You know that phrase that says comparison is the thief of joy? As cliche as it sounds, I want to promise you it is very, 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 very real. And before you roll your eyes, I want to ask you a question. Has any of you ever had a moment where you were just peaceful, enjoying your day, maybe you're in a phase of your life that you feel like, I'm not really happy with life right now. I feel like my life could be better. But then you're still happy about your life because, I mean, you still have breath in your lungs. And then you open Instagram and you see that one friend from secondary school that is now building a rocket as well as studying a PhD in neuroscience and just got married to the love of her life and is having a third swing this year. And you just feel horrible. Like it's almost like your day is just ruined. Now you're super aware, hyper aware of what you're doing, what you're not doing, what's wrong with your life, what you lack, what you have, what you don't have. I feel like all of us have been in that situation before, and that is why this is the third tip on my list to talk about. Comparison is not only bad because it's harmful to you and your self-esteem, it frankly is also quite unfair when we put into consideration that the playing field is simply just not leveled for all of us. While you're sitting on your couch comparing yourself to your friend that is doing so many things, what you're not looking at is the level of advantages and privileges that those people have in their lives, which allows them to accomplish what they are doing at this moment in time. When you compare yourself to others, you kill your individuality. We were never meant to be the same. We were never meant to do the same things. And most importantly, we were never meant to do the same things at the same time. You need to put into consideration that everybody has time and seasons. Like just like Ecclesiastes 1 verse 3 says, there's a time and season for everything under the sun. You may be in the building phase of your life, you may be in the reconstruction phase of your life where you're learning and unlearning, and you're comparing it to someone who's already in the phase of their life where they've learned everything they need to and now they're putting it into action. Tell me, how does that affect yourself? How does that make sense to you? Actually, like, let me even drop the motivational hats for 1 second. Does that even make sense to you? Like, when you really sit down and think about it, does that make sense to you? No, because it makes no sense at all. You don't even know what's going on in their life. Like you really do not know. Now you're comparing yourself. Now you're sitting in anger. Now you're hating yourself. You're mad at yourself. Why am I not doing this, that, and the third? My fourth point is going to be ask yourself hard questions. You guys are not gonna like this one, okay? This is one thing that I find that most people just genuinely don't, okay? And it's not just even about questions, it's people don't want to have hard conversations in general. I will understand why you wouldn't want to have hard conversations with other people, but not having hard conversations with yourself, not asking yourself hard questions, that's very risky. That is very risky. You need to be asking yourself questions. Why do I want this thing? What does this person have that triggers me? Why does it trigger me that they have this? Why do I feel like they're not deserving of what they have? Is this feelings coming from the fact that I'm not happy with where I'm in life? Do I want what they have? Do I just like the perceived privilege I believe they are getting from this thing? Now, you see this particular question, this one is very personal because this is a question I've had to ask myself. And I'll give a very vague example. I'm not going to go into too much details, okay? I'm not coming on yet to yap about my life for free. I'm just kidding because there was someone I found myself, I was constantly comparing myself to, and I started getting envious of them. And this is so funny because this was somebody that I didn't even know personally. I just knew this person because we had gone to school together and I was constantly seeing, their posts on Instagram, and it just looked like, she was doing so much with her life, and I just could not help but to start feeling envious. And I had to take a step back and be like, okay, wait, do you really want what she has? Do you really want to do what this person is doing? Or do you just envy the fact that they're doing something that is fulfilling to their lives? And when I took a step back and I turned the mirror onto myself, all the emotions that I felt, it vanished. Like, because I finally was able to see that it wasn't about what they were doing, it was just about me and the fact that I wasn't brave enough to pursue what I wanted to do. Part of the questions that I asked myself is, am I angry because I believe this is something that I can do? Because more often than not, that is actually what is going on. It can be a call from within you that there is something more to you. So the next point I will give you is you have to remove the judgment and stigma around this emotion. Like I said in the beginning, envy is that one thing that if you even try to say outside that, well, I think I'm envious, everybody's like, who is this person with this disease? but you have to do the work to remove that. And do you know why? Because true and sustainable self-development can never occur from a place of judgment and shame. Trust me, I know. I've tried it. Guys, I've tried it. It will work for like 2 days. The third day, you're going to slip back into your old habits. Okay, for you to truly develop, it needs to flow from a place of love. And for love to exist, do you know what needs to happen? Judgment has to take a backseat. Yeah, judgment is to go in that corner there and kneel down there. You need to do that work. Plug yourself from every negative word you've heard anybody say about this feeling, and give yourself grace. It may not be a pleasant emotion, it may not produce good things, but it's not a disease, it's a human feeling that almost everybody will experience in their life. Importantly, it's an emotion that you now have the tools to overcome. Release yourself from every shame and social stigma you may feel, and instead embrace your humanity, embrace your willingness to change. I mean, you're on YouTube, listen to a total stranger like me teach you how to deal with that. That shows that you're self-aware and you're willing to develop yourself. I wish listening to my last and final point, but not the least point, which is meditation. Yeah, I know you guys were not willing to hear that, but I believe that meditation is a very excellent tool in dealing with emotions in general. Sometimes you just need to feel the emotions, okay? You need to feel them, you need to let it wash over you, and you need to let it go. What meditation allows you to do is to slow down your thoughts, allow the feelings to pass through you, and to let it go. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you loved this video, and I hope you found this very useful. Over here, we have very tough, hard, sometimes uncomfortable conversations. This is your safe place, okay, to have them. So if you're into self-development, just talking about your feelings, having these tough conversations, feel free to subscribe to my channel. You're going to love it. Yeah, I love you. Bye.